nobody can mess with me when I'm in my bullfighting hat. That was the Chebukati you knew, and that was the Chebukati the world knew. A man you couldn't mess with. But through my eyes and through the eyes of the family members seated here, you will see him as simply the best father, husband, brother that you could ever have. It is said that if you think Chebukati is tough and doesn't smile, then you don't know Chebukati. In my formative years, my father instilled in me a sense of responsibilities. While growing up in Nyali together, in Mombasa, he entrusted me with the responsibility of managing staff salaries and other procurement matters. Each month I would prepare a budget, present it to him for approval, collect the funds, disburse the funds, and ensure that everybody appended their signature to confirm receipt of the funds. To him, it wasn't just about the arithmetic. It was about the understanding of the value of labor and the dignity of fairness. These skills would later prove invaluable in my career. And this was my dad, the nurturer. On to high school, and it was just the two of us in Mombasa in a large 6-bedroom mansion. The rest of the family had since moved to Nairobi, but my dad had stayed behind to allow me to complete my studies. It was a special chapter in our lives, and we settled into a routine. Takeout became our staple. Monday tulikuwa tunakula mabakio ya Sunday. Tuesday tunakula terrific Tuesday pizza, the one that comes on offer. Wednesday there was tikka at the golf club. We would go and do takeout there. Eventually we realized that this is unsustainable, and we decided to teach ourselves how to cook. He would occasionally bring back mudfish from South Coast, where he had a client, and I would experiment to try and make this fish taste nice. For those who know mudfish, perhaps Speaker, you might know, it is quite frankly the most horrible fish you can ever eat in this world. But together, we made a meal out of it, and he would cook ugali and I would cook the fish. But the point was never the meals. The point was the conversations that we shared over dinner every night. This was his way of guiding me. It was never forceful, but gentle, trusting, and with room for me to grow into my own choices. And this was my dad, the companion. Driving was another bond we shared. It started in Mombasa, where I often chauffeured him to his meetings. And over time, I became the designated family driver, much to the displeasure of my two older siblings seated here. Together we traveled thousands of kilometers, Mombasa to Nairobi, Kitale, Njoro, and the Great Rift Valley. He was always in the passenger seat, guiding me with his steady voice. Of course, the road trips weren't without their hiccups. Whenever I hit a pothole too hard or took a turn too fast, my mother would grumble from the back seat, but he would always defend me and say, "Leave him alone. If I was driving, it would be much, much worse." And that was my dad, the unwavering supporter, a believer in my dreams. Later, I joined USIU Africa for a degree in applied computer technology. Upon graduation, I immediately secured an internship and then a job. However, when I sat down with him one evening at the Royal Golf Club's 19th hole, and Your Excellency, PCS might advise you what the 19th hole is all about, I told him I was resigning for my job. Initially, he was annoyed. He was wondering, how dare you resign before you get a new job? But when I told him I was going to pursue a master's degree, he lit up and the concern went away. He immediately supported me, buying me an air ticket, preparing my school fees, and giving me my blessing, giving me his blessing. This was my dad, a champion of continuous learning. While at Carnegie Mellon, he kept close tabs on me, regularly popping in during his work trips. He was proud of me when I was elected to serve as vice president of the Student Guild, and I was sworn into office the same day he assumed office as chairperson of IABC, and coincidentally the same day that President Donald Trump assumed office as president of the United States. Perhaps there's some similarity there. One time when he and my mother visited, he asked me to invite a few friends over, and 15 people showed up. They all wanted to see chairman, and they were from all different nationalities at the university. Later in life, when he completed his term in office, they gifted him a stick. And it is this stick that he has used in his retirement as a symbol of his love and adoration for the African continent and for the gift that was given to him in Rwanda. When I started my business in Rwanda, we needed some money to secure some office space. And so my father gave me an interest-free 12-month loan of Kenya shillings 620,000. When we repaid him back 1 month early, the bank that we both banked with flagged this transaction. They said that this transaction is suspicious because I am the son of a politician. Of course, you all know that Chebukati was not a politician. Later on, the same bank refused to open an account for another one of my businesses. And when my dad heard of this, he went together with my mom to the bank and they began closing accounts helter-skelter. This was my dad who never allowed his family to be mistreated, and you couldn't mess with him. As I grew into business, I would regularly consult him. He would challenge me to go after more, do more, and market myself. After all, he had run a successful practice for over 30 years, so he knew a thing or two about business. Another evening on the 19th hole, after visiting the 19th hole at the golf club, he decided to escort me home, and I was excited that my father would finally get to see where I live. So I invited him, I showed him around. Nikamwambia, ona mzee, kuna TV kubwa pale, ona mzee, kuna sofa, kuna fridge, and he was, he walked around and he never said anything. Then we went onto the balcony and I told him that I've secured clients and I'm doing very well and, there's this much in client billables. He looked at me and he simply said, "Iyo ni kidogo, you need to double your income, you need to do better." As time went on, my hard work was recognized and I was invited to Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh to receive an award. This is an award given to less than 100 alumni of over 100,000 globally. My father insisted on coming with me and he insisted that we're going to fly in business class together. During that trip, my professors were proud to meet him, but it is in that trip that we noticed the initial symptoms of his illness start to kick in. Even after his first surgery, his dedication never wavered. I had the privilege of staying with him in Germany for a few months after he recovered. In those months, we took daily walks, brainstormed on his talking points, and prepared for his upcoming engagements. The engagements which I have elaborated on in his eulogy. The only difference now that it was once again the two of us, is that instead of eating mudfish, because there was no mudfish in Germany, we upgraded to eating salmon. And that was a good thing for the two of us. When we left Germany, I had the privilege of traveling with him across the world for him to deliver his addresses. We were in Ivory Coast, we were in Cape Town, and I also helped him prepare for his presentation in Lisbon, Portugal. Whenever we traveled, the reception we received was nothing short of statesmanlike. Despite his condition, he prepared for all these presentations and he delivered them with poise. He never needed talking points because he was speaking from his lived experience. In his final days, my father was surrounded by love and peace. We rallied resources for his care, we safeguarded his well-being, and we made sure that his family was always by his side. Indeed, no one could mess with him, not in life and not in his final moments. Rest well, Dad. I will carry your lessons with me forever and keep your bullfighting hat safe, a symbol of the wisdom you wore so effortlessly, the strength you carried with quiet dignity, and the path that you charted for me to follow. Thank you.